Hello, I'm Sandy Arnett.
And I'm Joanna Campbell. On this edition of Commuter Connections, we'll show you how MTA is preparing for the launch of BaltimoreLink, which is now only a couple months away.
We'll be joined by MTA Administrator and CEO Paul Comfort for information on the BaltimoreLink network and a look at BaltimoreLink Street Team public outreach efforts.
Safety is an important part of the MTA mission. We've got an update on MTA safety initiatives.
We have your best ride to the springtime attractions in our nation's capital. We'll also take a look at new MTA locally operated transit service in our region.
All on this edition of Commuter Connections.
Keeping you up to date on the exciting changes coming to transit through BaltimoreLink is an important task for the MTA. We're now just 2 months out to the big launch.
MTA Administrator and CEO Paul Comfort recently joined me on historic Federal Hill in Baltimore to talk about the new BaltimoreLink network and how it will transform bus service in our region. Well, thanks for joining us. For those who don't know, what is BaltimoreLink?
BaltimoreLink is a reimagining of transit in Baltimore. The routes in Baltimore, the bus routes, were laid out 50 years ago, before Baltimore was the 5th most congested city in America, and they really needed a refresh. Now, what will that refresh do? So it'll take people to where the jobs are today. 2/3 of our existing routes bring people to downtown Baltimore, and that's awesome. But not everybody needs to come to the central business district. There's 145,000 jobs there, but we hear there's 600,000 jobs around the city. And so we wanted to get people to where the jobs are today. So that's one of the fundamental principles of it. The other thing is we wanted to create linkages between light rail, metro subway, MARC train, and the bus service. The bus routes were laid out 50 years ago. A lot of them follow the old trolley routes. But the light rail system started 25 years ago, the same year, as you know, that the stadium kicked in, right? Yes. Remember Schaefer came out there and made sure it all happened. So, but the bus routes were never changed to kind of link in with the light rail. And the subway system was like 30 years ago. And again, the routes were not changed. And so this changes it and allows for linkages so that our transit system in Baltimore is integrated and not disjointed like it's been.
When will the new BaltimoreLink service start?
A lot of it has already happened or is in the process of happening. We're doing construction, bus-only lanes, transit signal priority, new hubs. But the routes change, which is the core of what we're doing, all on one day, Sunday, June 18th. That is D-Day for the transit system. We're going to charge the gates and make a new transit system for Baltimore.
That sounds like a huge undertaking. What are some of the steps the MTA is taking to make these changes possible?
So in addition to those things I mentioned, a lot of what we're doing has to do with infrastructure. So what we could do, we've already done. So here's what we've done already. We've started what we call express bus routes. Express bus routes go across the top of the city, down the sides, and across the bottom. And it allows for suburb to suburb transportation easy. So for instance, before this last summer, if you were in White Marsh and you wanted to go to Towson, you have to go downtown, switch buses, and come back up, kind of like a V. Made no sense. Why should you have to ride downtown if you're not going downtown? So we made these changes, and they are, people love them. I mean, we get rave reviews from people. The other things we're doing that we've already done is we've added in commuter bus routes, brand new routes from Baltimore out to the jobs, reverse commute, out to Aberdeen Proving Grounds, and we've started new commuter routes coming from the Eastern Shore to Annapolis and to Baltimore, and from Baltimore down to Annapolis. Again, that connection was missing between Baltimore, Maryland's biggest city, and Annapolis, Maryland's capital. We need to have a connection.
How important has public outreach been, and have you consulted not only the public, but MTA employees?
We have done probably the most extensive outreach MTA has ever done on a big project. We've had over 200 meetings since the governor announced it, since Governor Hogan announced it in October of 2015 at the West Baltimore MARC station. The mayor was there, the current mayor, who then was a state senator, Jack Young, president of City Council. We all announced a brand new transit system for Baltimore is coming. And so we've had tons of meetings, and we've had several revisions of some of the plans that were laid out. So lots of feedback, and we did make adjustments, but we kept true to the principles that will make this system the best in America.
So with all these changes coming, And we've had the public feedback, we've had the employee feedback. How are we going to educate our riders about all these changes?
So after the first week of April, when the routes are announced, the final route design alignment is announced, we're going to undertake a massive public education campaign. It will involve dozens and dozens of people, street teams out literally at major bus stops, handing out flyers. Every bus will have the new schedules on it for that route. So if you're on the Route 8 and it's going to become the yellow route, there will be a schedule that will show you that. We're going to do traditional advertising, all kinds of ways in which we're going to let the public know. We're also going to run a bus on every route, and that bus will explain to people that day kind of what this route will look like after June 18th.
How has BaltimoreLink changed public perception of MDOT and the MTA?
To be honest with you, the brand equity of the MTA was not very good when I got here 2 years ago because we'd broken our contract with the public every day for the last God knows how many years because we weren't picking people up on time. And so again, the principles here are safety, efficiency, reliability, and world-class customer service. Those four principles is changing the public's perception of the MTA, MDOT, and of our system. And that's part of the reason why we're rebranding it as BaltimoreLink. We needed a new brand. And so the brand of BaltimoreLink is going to start off from day one being a quality service. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a lot better than what we have today.
And where can people find out more information about BaltimoreLink?
Well, the easiest place to go is to just go to your web, www.baltimorelink.com. Just go there, and there's all kinds of tools you can use to plan your routes, what it is today and what it'll look like then. If you want to go from one part of the city to another, it'll actually help you plan the route. Not only today, but also on June 18th, when all the routes change overnight.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Paul Comfort, MTA Administrator and CEO.
Thank you.
Coming up next, a look at MTA Street Team public outreach efforts for BaltimoreLink. Stay with us.
Getting word out about the transformative changes coming to transit in Baltimore is an important part of the MTA's mission for BaltimoreLink. To assist in this effort, the agency is calling upon MTA street teams to meet with transit patrons on the streets, in area neighborhoods, at transit, and wherever they may be. I recently met with MTA's Director of Planning and Programming, Kevin Quinn, at the Rogers Avenue Metro Station to learn more about the MTA Street Teams initiative. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Sandy.
So tell us a little bit about the MTA Street Team.
Well, the MTA Street Team is part of our active outreach effort to really communicate the changes of BaltimoreLink to our riders. And, this really began when we went down and visited Houston to talk to them about their network redesign that they undertook a couple years ago. And they said that one of the secrets to their success with their rollout was these street teams and the idea that you got to get out and you got to talk to the riders one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And so, we talked to Houston about their training for their riders, what they were going to wear, how they'd be identified. We took a lot of that to heart. We took it back to the office and we sort of concocted our own street teams. And so, our BaltimoreLink street teams will be out on the system, talking to riders and really communicating a lot of the changes that are coming as part of the network changeover.
So are these all MTA employees or are some of them volunteers?
Sure. So it's a combination of MTA employees, some MTA managers that are going to be out on the system, and even some contractors that we have that are regularly riding our system. So, they know our system well. They've interacted with our customers before, and they'll be fully well prepared to have these great conversations about our exciting new system.
Okay. So June 18th is the official launch of BaltimoreLink.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do you see happening on that day with the street teams?
Yeah, so we're diving into both the current network so that the street teams can talk to riders about the current network today, as well as learning the new network and what happens to certain routes and how they change and how to be able to communicate. Transit lines and transit schedules can be complicated things. And so having those conversations with folks can be tough. And so we want to be sure that they're well equipped and well trained to have those conversations.
And will they be dressed a certain way so that people can identify the street team?
They will be. So the street teams, they have black t-shirts, backpacks and materials. They have some smocks that they're going to be wearing, being able to pull out brochures and rider materials. And so people will see them, it'll say Big BaltimoreLink on the t-shirt, and they won't be able to be missed. They won't be able to be missed.
So tell us a little bit, because it sounds like it's a lot of preparation, and I know they'll be handing out materials, and basically they can get all sorts of questions from some of the transit riders.
Sure.
How have you prepared the street teams to go out and be able to talk with customers?
Sure, that's a great question. We've been devoting a lot of time to producing a good bit of materials. One is a rider alert that we're putting together that really is an individual rider alert that goes into each route. So it details the route today, how it changes in both a text as well as a graphic way. So folks can really see for themselves how their route changes.
So where will they be located primarily?
Yeah, so the street teams we're going to have not just downtown, but really all over the region. And we're focused on primarily high ridership stops. So this could be high ridership bus stops or metro or light rail stations, as well as those areas throughout our city, throughout the system, that see significant change. So, there are some places that don't see a lot of change and some that see significant change. We want to focus where it counts.
And will they be out all day, these street team members?
Yeah, they're going to be out all day. And, something important to note is it's not just, in the downtown area. Our street teams are going to be all over the region, talking to people. So, we're trying to spread folks around, whether it's metro stations, light rail stations, high ridership bus stops, you name it. We're trying to not just be within the Baltimore City itself, but Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, all the places that we do provide service. We need to be in all those places talking to riders.
Right. So how well received has the information about BaltimoreLink been so far?
Pretty well so far.
Because I know you've done a lot trying to do on the outreach front.
Yeah, we've done a lot of outreach, and we've received, to date, through all of our phases of outreach, we've received about 4,400 comments on the BaltimoreLink network design. And we have incorporated a lot of those comments into the final network design. And so I think what we're going to be rolling out is a network, is a package that I think people can be really proud of, that the community can look at and say, I had input in that.
Right.
And really, and know that, these new high frequency lines, these CityLink high frequency lines are going to bring high frequency service to folks that, haven't had that kind of frequency before. 15-minute or better service, 10 minutes during peak. I mean, that's a new product we haven't had before that's going to be offered to a lot of great places in the city that need really good, high-quality, reliable transit service.
Well, if someone needs more information on BaltimoreLink, where can we go?
Best place to get more information is www.baltimorelink.com. Wealth of information on the website. We have a trip planner available that I encourage people to check out and use. Really user-friendly, lots of information on the website.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Coming up next, a look at MTA's industry-leading efforts in transit safety. Stay with us.
Providing patrons safe, efficient, reliable transit with world-class customer service is front and center in all that MTA does. Within safety, MTA leads the industry in initiatives and efforts in public transportation. MTA's Chief Safety Officer, Phil Thomas, joins us with a look at his group's award-winning focus on safety. Welcome to Commuter Connections.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you. So tell us, give us a little bit about the mission of MTA's Safety Division.
The MTA's Safety Department, our mission mirrors the MTA's initiative of having safe, reliable transit. And with that, we also provide world-class customer service to all of the MTA workers, but especially to our riding public. It's very important that we give them the comfort that they are on a safe system.
So that's a big job. Tell us, how many people make up your safety department?
Well, I have 50 people that work for me. And with that, I have light rail safety officer, metro safety officer, bus, MARC train, and commuter bus safety officer. We also oversee the quality assurance, and we also do a lot of work within the construction division. We also oversee every construction job that the MTA has for safety with risk management. We have a quality assurance department, and I also oversee the claims division for MTA. So we have 50 people that's working hard to keep the MTA safe.
And what's the average day like for a safety officer?
Average day starts at 7 a.m. And we're always working on regulations, on hazard reports. We're looking to make sure that we're providing a good service to the MTA riding public. We deal a lot with the federal government, with the FRA, FTA, and we also do a lot with the local jurisdiction here, Baltimore City and Baltimore County.
Now, what makes a good safety officer? What are you looking for?
Oh, I'm looking for somebody that's tireless, because you're going to have to put in a lot of hours. I'm looking for someone that's going to be very knowledgeable about safety. You have to put in your time and your effort into making sure that we provide a safe system to the riding public itself.
So how important are good safety practices to any organization?
Good safety practices is paramount to an organization, because you have a direct cost and you have an indirect cost. The direct cost is that if you don't have good safety practices in place, it leads to a lot of incidents and accidents. The indirect cost is that we're looking at the number of passengers that's being injured through our service, or the employees themselves being injured. So we want to make sure that we are at the forefront of everything that we do, so we can cut down in the number of injuries or accidents itself.
And it seems like your efforts have paid off. The MTA has been really focused on keeping the system safe and keeping customers and employees safe.
That is correct.
And you've won some awards for that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Do I have time? We actually have won 17 national and state awards. It is so numerous. We have won 15 awards dealing with just safety itself. Mr. Paul Comfort was nominated and had the highest safety award in 2016. And he also received a number of other awards for having the safest transit system in the U.S. There's a lot of effort. It's a lot of team effort that goes into all of the awards. It's not about safety, it's about the team itself, and that's Team MTA.
Now, you've talked about the awards, but the MTA's safety record itself, what does that look like?
Well, when we say MTA's safety record, we're talking about the MTA as a whole. With the initiative of the administrator promoting safety, and that's his first pillar that he always emphasized, that we have to have a safe system. We have to have a system that gives comfort to the passengers or even to the employees themselves. It's very important that we promote safety, that we acknowledge safety, and that we give a comfort level to our riding public about our system itself.
And what makes the MTA Safety Division so successful in doing all that?
Having good people, hardworking people, having the support of the administrator, having the support of the executive team, having the support of each director and manager within the MTA. As I mentioned before, it takes a team to be successful in safety.
And I know also BaltimoreLink will be launching officially in June.
Yes.
How will safety play a role in that?
Well, we actually started with the design of the BaltimoreLink. We did a process called Safety and Security Certification, where we looked at every route. We have actually gone through every route, new route and existing route, to make sure we're not introducing any new hazards. We will be running on some new streets in Baltimore City where they may not be used to seeing a bus. So we'll do an observation of that for the next year, of making sure that we don't have an increase of accidents or incidents in these new bus routes itself.
What are some tips that you can give someone on the system for staying safe?
Plan ahead. Always plan ahead. Know where you're going. Actually, it's very important to know where you are. Once you reach the bus stop or the train stop itself, take out the earplugs. Stop listening to your music, because distractions actually lead to a lot of incidents and accidents itself.
Stay alert.
Stay alert.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Okay.
That's very important.
That's very good advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that information with our viewers. We really appreciate having you on the show.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up next, we've got your best ride to springtime fun in our nation's capital. Stay with us. The change of season is all around us. Birds are chirping, temperatures are rising, thousands will travel to our nation's capital. MARC Train has a plan to get them there. MARC's Chief Transportation Officer, Dave Johnson, joins us with all the info you'll need for MARC travel. Thank you for joining us, Dave.
Thank you for having me, Joanna.
So, MARC is a great means of transportation to Washington. What lines are open from Baltimore to travel to D.C.?
Well, we have two different lines from Baltimore to Washington. There's the Penn line, which runs from Penn Station, Baltimore, through Halethorpe, BWI, Odenton, and then down to Washington. We also have the Camden line, which leaves from Camden Station next to Oriole Park, travels down through Dorsey, Savage, Laurel, College Park, and then into Washington.
So during the week, what time does service start on MARC train and what time does it end?
Well, the Penn line provides service pretty much all throughout the day. The first train leaves Baltimore at 4:20 in the morning, and then the last train leaves at 9:15 in the evening. Coming from Washington back to Baltimore, service runs from about 6 a.m. until 10:30 p.m. The Camden line is limited to rush hour service. We have service in the morning from about 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then again in the evening from 3:30 to 6 p.m.
Okay, and not long ago, you started weekend Penn line service,
Yes, we did.
correct? And I know that's been very popular. So what are the hours for your weekend Penn line?
Well, we operate 18 trains on Saturday and 12 trains on Sunday. The first train on Saturday leaves at about 7:30 in the morning from Baltimore. The last train from Washington comes back at 10:30 at night, and we have service throughout the day. Sunday, our hours are a little less. We leave Baltimore about 10 in the morning, and then the last train from Washington is back at 7:30 p.m.
And what is the cost to ride the MARC trains, either on the weekend or a weekday?
Well, the easy thing is the fares are the same. Both the weekday and the weekend, all the fares are the same. Round trip from Baltimore to Washington is $16. Round trip from BWI is $14, and Odenton is $12.
And how many riders come through on the weekdays or the weekend?
Well, we have a different level of ridership on the weekday. We have obviously a weekday service is more for commuters, people going to and from their jobs. We carry about 27,000 passengers a day during the weekday. Weekends vary widely based on primarily the weather and the time of the year. For example, this past weekend we carried just about 10,000 passengers. Other weekends it's a little lighter, more like along between 5,000 and 6,000 passengers.
So tell us, how have customers responded to the bike car?
Oh, the bike car has been incredibly popular. This past weekend, for example, we had over 50 bicycles travel with us. It's also been great for passengers with strollers and other large luggage. It's really family friendly as well. The bike car allows you to bring a full-size, non-collapsible bicycle on the MARC Penn Line weekend service and ride anywhere between Washington and Baltimore. Both cities are very bicycle friendly, and there's destinations en route. The trails at BWI Airport, also in the Bowie area, there is an extensive network of bike trails in Bowie, as well as Odenton.
And is the bike car on a first come, first served basis?
Yes, there's a first come, first served. There's space for 28 bicycles per trip, and you just roll your bike on, latch it into the little holder, and off you go.
That sounds great.
Now, what advice do you have for riders going to Washington?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, plan ahead. Visit our website, www.mta.maryland.gov. You can download schedules, check the fares, and get all the information you need to ride. We do recommend you arrive at the station between 20 and 30 minutes before the train departs to ensure that you have plenty of time to park, purchase your ticket, and go to the platform and wait for the train. Finally, our most important rule is to have fun. We want everybody to have fun on the weekend service. Everybody comes out and really has a good time, and it sure beats getting on 95 or 295 to go to Washington.
Anytime.
What are some other things that our riders can do when they get to Washington, D.C.?
Well, there's a lot to do in Washington. I mean, you have all the Smithsonian museums. The new Museum of African American History is open now. There's, of course, you can go visit Congress and tour Congress. You can go to the White House. You can take one of the several tour companies. Most of the city tour companies are based out of Union Station. So you can go take one of the tours that takes you all around the city to the various monuments, to the National Cathedral. Pretty much anywhere you want to go in Washington, and there's great places to eat in Washington too. That's a lot of fun as well, finding some of the neat places to eat in D.C. And of course, the train does come the other way if you want to come up to Baltimore for those who live in Washington. Baltimore is a great destination. As you know, we have the Preakness coming up. We'll be operating on that Saturday. You can ride the train to Baltimore and then take light rail up to the Preakness races.
So it's a good way to get back and forth without the parking, the driving hassles. And it's affordable. Absolutely.
As I like to say on the train, we operate at speeds of up to 90 miles an hour. If you try that on your next drive to Washington, your trip will cost a whole lot more than $16. So come ride MARC train and sit back, relax, and enjoy the trip.
Oh, DJ, thank you so much.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Us.
Thank you.
Coming up next, a look at a new locally operated transit service in our region for Harford County. That's next.
In a continuing effort to provide all of Maryland safe, efficient, reliable transit with world-class customer service, the MTA has teamed up with Harford County Transit through its locally operated transit service, or LOTS program, to establish a new bus service that will assist local residents in connecting with employment and other life-enhancing opportunities. Robert Andrews of Harford County Transit recently joined us on location to talk about the launch of the county's new Route 8 bus service. Well, thank you for joining us today, Robert.
Well, thank you, Joanna. We're so happy to have you here in Harford County.
So, can you tell me a little bit more about Harford County Transit, how it came to be, and who it serves?
Yes, Harford County Transit was started back in the 70s. We started with 2 vans to service the senior centers within the county. But as Harford County has grown, so has Harford County Transit. We now offer a full line of demand and response services, along with our current route service, servicing the entire southern part of the county.
How large is Harford County Transit? How many buses and how many routes do you run?
Well, currently Harford County Transit has over 43 buses. We provide over 360,000 link trips a year, and we provide service Monday through Friday, 5 days a week.
And how many people does that serve?
Well, over a year's period of time, we serve over 360,000 riders.
How does MTA work with Harford County Transit to establish service?
The MTA provides a unique relationship for Harford County. The MTA, not only being the largest transit agency in the state, but it's also controls and oversees all of the lots, which we are a locally operated transit system. And through them, we share in their professional expertise in helping us grow and become a more professional organization each year.
Harford County Transit is establishing a new bus line, the number 8 Silver Route. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, Harford County, with its growing industrial centers along the Route 40 corridor, the demand for more employees has constantly been increasing. So in order to help the citizens of Harford County link up with the jobs that are constantly growing, we are starting a new express route that will connect the cities and towns of Edgewood and Aberdeen and all points in between with these new job centers, both in the Riverside community and within the new Perryman Peninsula Industrial Complex. Our anticipated start date is May the 15th. And on that date, the new Silver Line will debut, starting at its first stop at Paul Martin Drive and Route 40 in Edgewood.
Well, it seems like a very positive thing for the area. Do you know about how many people are expected to ride the new service?
Well, we're hoping for as many people as we can. You know, if we get 500 to 1,000 over a week's period, we would be very happy.
How much does it cost to ride the number 8?
The new Route 8 is the same cost as riding any of our other route buses, $1 each way.
Now, where did you get the idea for this Route 8 line?
Well, we met with many of the employers within this area, and one of the major things that they all felt was a big challenge was getting qualified employees and trying to get them to their locations. So we, as part of the transportation network in Harford County, we decided that we will try to help and create a special line that will link employees with the employers.
Now, for interested viewers and interested riders, where can they get more information about this new line and Harford County Transit?
The best place to get information on Harford County Transit is at our website, harfordtransitlink.org.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
We've come to the end of another Commuter Connections program. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time. Take care.